Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on your way in. I see I got people in here already. What's going on? Indigo, what's going on? Detroit. What's up with y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? Man. So I should have did the after stream yesterday, but I got caught up and me and my lady went out to a restaurant and yeah. Um so we will be talking about Tracee Ellis Ross and Mr. F.D Signifier on today's stream. Let's do our intros again. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. And yeah, so let's start. I guess we'll start a little bit. We'll start with Tracee Ellis Ross first. Kind of keep y'all in here for a little bit. Because Miss Tracee Ellis Ross is what I was speaking to earlier. And let's throw a bunch of them, whether they've been married or not. From Tracee Ellis Ross to Vivica A. Fox to Lisa Ray to Janet Jackson, Maya, you name a, Monica, Brandy, all of our very older millennial and all of our exer women, as you can see, miserable. And these are women that have reached the highest heights. These are rich, talented, famous, and oftentimes beautiful, or at least used to be, women. Primarily we're naming the black women. I don't even want to talk about the white women because then the list would just fall off the damn page, right? And the Gen X black women are showing the black millennial, younger millennial and Gen Z women what not to do, and yet it doesn't look like the Gen Z women and the younger millennial women are getting the message. Does Vivica A. Fox look happy to you? Does she? Men were drooling over Lisa Ray. Does Lisa Ray look happy to you? Does Taraji look happy to you? All of them are breaking. Tracee Ellis Ross essentially told us she's lonely and miserable without telling us she's lonely and miserable. Does Regina Hall look happy to you? Regina Hall making a whole little dance video thingy talking about turning 50. Tracee Ellis Ross is posting thirst traps because she don't got no damn man. And shout out to the brother O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's the one who really inspired the part about Tracee Ellis Ross. And the thing that stood out to me the most is her being conflicted. Her being conflicted between a feminist ideology and a feminist worldview and a feminist view of relationships and her own biological clock and her own biology or sense or longing for a man and a relationship and that sort of intimacy and being a wife and a mother. And she's conflicted. Little Kim, thank you for that also. Layla Anthony, thank you for that also. Foxy Brown, none of them are happy. Across the Gen X spectrum of women, from the most square bear Brandy all the way to the hood ass Monica, none of them are happy. We grew, Gen X men and millennial men grew up on these women, and I mean, Maya married herself. Mariah wasn't happy. She married Nick Cannon. She was happy for a second. Now she back to whatever. She was with the billionaire dude, divorced. I mean, well, they never got married, but well, Janet was with the billionaire dude. Where's she at now? Man, come on, y'all. And Tracee Ellis, and as time go on, you'll see them split into two. They're gonna split into Diane Carroll or Eartha Kitt. And I would argue Gen X ain't as strong as the boomers and the silent generation. So most of them are going to be more like Diane Carroll, but the Generation Alpha women that will come of age by that time and the Gen Z won't care. So when the future Diane Carrolls are saying, yeah, I messed up. Oh, I messed up. They ain't going to be listening. The loudest, of course, are going to be the Eartha Kitts, the Vivica A. Foxes. Compromise with who? For what? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. All right. Y'all heard it here first. And I'm going to touch on FD for a second. I'll bring this up again when I speak on him. a little bit later on. But he spoke about us over focusing on divestors. So he was talking about Mr. Z, and talking about divestors with only 15 subscribers, and how we over focus on them. So he was talking about Mr. Z, and I want to say this, FD, the reason why we speak about the divestors, the swirlers, the black women level up, the black women empowerment side of the game is because your ideology didn't. Y'all came out of the civil rights movement and told us to ignore those women, and those women became Oprah. And all they've done is defecate on black men. Those women became Terry McMillan. Yeah, FD, your ideology that told us to ignore these angry, bitter women coming out of the civil rights movement is how we got here, how we got Waiting to Excel, how we got The Color Purple. Yeah. So what Mr. Z is doing now, going back to the subject at hand, Tracee Ellis Ross, I'm putting this out there so that it can be known. Yes, my channel is small. Yes, there were brothers back in the day that fought against the whole concept of ignoring all of these bitter, angry black women, these resentful black women, these anti-black male, misandrous black women. Yes, there were men like me 40 and 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And I'm in a line of men that say, no, we ain't gonna give them a pass, like you continue to try to do, FD, on Bernard Riley's show. And so continue on the subject at hand. I'm saying this because we have way more Gen X black women that are famous and talented than we did for the boomers and the silent generation. It's just so many Gen X famous black women, and we're watching so many of them low key tell us how miserable they are. They ain't coming out and straight up saying it, but there's no way you saw that interview with Taraji P. Henson and Angie Martinez, and you could throw in a lot of the Latinas also. You could, like I said, if we put the white Gen X women on the page, they're gonna fall off the goddamn page. We can't even list the Gen X white women that are miserable because they're gonna fall off the goddamn page, right? Ooh, Azrael, first of his name, the brother. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He said it makes you think who are the true incels. Let's put it this way, brother. Some of these women are having sex. They're just unhappy because they're not living for their romantic, intimate life with men is unfulfilling, right? So, for those of us that saw that little meme with Tracee Ellis Ross and Big Sean in the car, and Tracee Ellis Ross is like staring out of her window. She's driving. She's the one in the driver's seat, and it said, the meme said something like when you leaving the MILF's house or something, or when the MILF is driving you back home or something like that. And it was funny. And I wouldn't be surprised if Big Sean hit Tracee Ellis Ross. It probably was just a funny meme, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But that's what I'm saying. Some of them are having sex. They just don't have the intimate relationship, right? They don't have that love. They don't have that romantic connection, right? And for some of them, like Tracee Ellis Ross, they never became mothers. The clock is done. Unless they have their eggs frozen, they can still become a mother, but it wouldn't be through the the normal process. But yeah, the Vivica A. Foxes and the Tracee Ellis Ross, and look at the two different dynamics of feminism, right? You have more of the hood, more of the raised in the black community around other black people, like concept of feminism, and then you have the more intellectual, raised in a diverse environment, mainly white people. But obviously, because Tracee Ellis Ross' mother is Diana Ross, definitely had a black bourgeoisie, but black influence. Tracee Ellis Ross was raised around first generation black money with her mother, and knowing Michael, and knowing the OJs and all the Marvin Gaye and all of that, right? So she was raised with that first generation of black talent money, right? Quincy Jones and all of that. So even the black experience she did have was that of the rich elders, those of the silent generation, and the boomers who had money and who were around her mother, right? And So either way, what you see from Tracee Ellis Ross to Vivica A. Fox are women who feel unfulfilled. Vivica A. Fox is just way better at keeping a stiff upper lip and being, I can't even say she's stoic because she's not. She's just challenging that energy and turning it into anger and resentment more overtly than Tracee Ellis Ross is. Right? But even with Drew Barrymore was married, right? She got a couple of kids, if I'm not mistaken. And once again, like I said, we can't even put the white women on the list because they're going to fall off the goddamn page. Right? The interview with Tracee Ellis Ross and Drew Barrymore. Right? And if y'all didn't catch it, they were talking about depression. They were being real hush-hush about their depression. They're depressed. So white-ass Drew Barrymore and mixed-ass Tracee Ellis Ross are depressed. That's what they were speaking to. And by the way, for those of y'all don't know, the link is in the description for the video I'm speaking about, which Drew Barrymore interviewing Tracee Ellis Ross. It's about a 5-minute or so long interview, right? And you know, Tracee Ellis Ross and Drew Barrymore low-key called her out for the thirst trap picture, and not even low-key, that was super high-key. Called her out for the thirst trap picture, and you know, and of course she's a 50-something. I mean, didn't we see? That's what Regina Hall was on in her video talking about turning 50, and Regina Hall is still fine. Regina Hall is still fine, and not happy. Right? And I'm going to touch on something this to me is like the most crucial thing that Tracee Ellis Ross said on a snippet from Comedy Hype. And I did not watch the interview with her and Kevin Hart. But let me read this real quick. Timmy Fields, what's going on, Timmy? Says, sounds like Gen X women are young man's jump off. And it would seem so. It would seem so, and that's pretty sad because these are the women we drooled over in the 90s when they were younger. We drooled over in the early aughts, and now many of these women are in their 50s and 40s. And yeah, right? If you want, you could throw in the oldest of millennial women entertainers in there too. I'm not sure how old Brandy is. She might be the old... No, Brandy is probably the youngest of Gen X. Something. Her and Monica are like... If they're not in their mid-40s or something, they're maybe in their early 40s. They might be the youngest of Gen X, if not the oldest of millennials. But yeah, you could throw all of them in there. Maya them, all of them. All of them. Right? All them girls from Total. All of them, right? You know who look happy? Even though her and her husband was hood as hell? Tiny look happy. Tiny look happy as hell. You can't tell Tiny nothing. She ain't letting go. She's not letting go of T.I. for nobody. You know who look happy? Exactly. Chili over here with the Boy Meet World dude, 10 years younger than her. Let's see how long that lasts. Because he's 41, she's 51. Let's see. Because most of us got a clock on that. You never know. It could go all the way. They could get married. You never know. But let's see. I got a timer on that. Let's see. Right? We don't even hear about T-Boz. After Mac 10, we don't even hear about her no more. So we don't even know what T-Boz's love life looked like. Right? Victor Creed said, and thanks for the super chat, Vic. Victor Creed said, Monica the biggest Pookie chaser ever. Man. She practically waiting outside of the prison for Steve Murder to come out. For real, though. She's been imprinted on. We all have those family members. We all have the women, especially for those of us in the black community who grew up, you know, in the hood or grew up in, like, you know, a okay black neighborhood. It wasn't exactly hood, but it wasn't upper middle class or rich either. We all got the female cousins or even our own sisters who have been imprinted on by hood dudes. And they no matter how high up they go, no matter what they do with their life, that's their imprint. And that's Monica. Right? That's Monica. Monica been imprinted on by hood dudes, and that's it. And like I said, we all have that female sibling or that female cousin. That's it. And these are the women that, that are nurses, that work in corporate environments, making 45, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a year. And they're always with a hood dude. They're with a scammer. They're with a D boy. They're, or at best, what you get as they get older and those men come out of prison or in jail, or if they were in jail, or if they got caught up a couple times and they're more mature and now they're working legal businesses, but those are like the reform hood dudes that didn't get killed, right? So some of us got those aunts who are in their 50s, their 60s, and they're in a relationship with a reform hood dude, and that dude is okay. We ain't ascribing too many character flaws to him. But you sit down and talk to him, and he'll tell you about when he was in the streets back in his 20s and 30s, and all the cool cars he used to have, and all the women he used to hit, and yeah. Oh, what, y'all thought Mr. Z ain't know because I'm Haitian descent? I know. We got him. We got him in the Haitian community. Yeah, they got him in the Jamaican community also, by the way. Right? Oh yeah, we know him. We know him. The reform hood dudes in their late 40s, they 50s, in their 60s. Right? What's going on, Rogish? Thanks for the super chat. So that's Monica's thing, but continuing on to Tracee Ellis Ross, something Tracee said, and I'm going to focus some time on this. She said something along the lines of not wanting to feel or be possessed. Let me pause right here, bro. Let me pause right here. This weird relationship between wanting to be a selfish person while also being in a relationship got men and women all type of messed up, but particularly the women. Ain't no independence in a relation. You're in a relationship. Y'all are weird. I want to have my own identity, and didn't we see that from the sister from The Bachelorette that's with the white dude? I don't want to lose my identity and what? You're in a relationship. Especially if you married, the two become one. And yes, one person is going to have more of the say. One person is going to have, every once in a while in a marriage, it's a woman, but most of the time it's the man. But I don't want to lose my identity and I don't want to feel possessed. That's what Tracee Ellis Ross didn't say, lose her identity, but pretty much. But she don't want to feel or be possessed. Listen, when we say I do, you are my wife. Mine. There's no sharing you with other people. You're not the community's wife unless you're doing something I don't know about. When you're my girlfriend, you are my girlfriend. Yes, you are mine. I possess you. Yes. Yeah, Mr. Z City. Yes. I don't care how uncomfortable it sounds, Miss Tracee. You're older than me, Miss Tracee. By over a decade. Nobody... What? Did Miss Diana Ross not talk to you about... You were around all of these elders. Ain't nobody talk to you about this? Where do people get this stuff from? Women in particular. I don't want to feel possessed. What? That's that feminist talk. That's why y'all are so conflicted. That's why y'all are so miserable. You want to be in a relationship. You would like to be married. You're low-key blaming men, black men, let's be honest, for not being in a relationship and not being married. But you don't want to feel or be possessed. Man, if you don't, Miss Ross, or what's her actual last name? Because she has her father's last name. Is it Silverstein or something like that? Tracee Ellis Ross is her actress last name. Her actual last name is her father's last name. Right? I don't want to feel possessed. Man, if you don't get the entire... Somebody put it in for... put the last name for me. Is it Silberstein or something like that? You are more than a decade old. Nobody... That's not how this work. Especially not for no man. Especially not for no man in Hollywood. Oh, no. I have a bunch of 23-year-old, 24-year-olds running around that want a pogo stick on my, my eggplant, and I'm with you, Miss Ross, and I don't possess you? Oh, no, 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 no. Nope. This is why y'all so conflicted. Oh, so it's so it is Silberstein, or is it Silberstein? I don't know how it's pronounced. This is ridiculous. And thank you for that, Kevin. Kevin, is that Kevin Lukman? Thank you for that, Kevin. And Rogus says, Mills us, my is us, no longer just me. My point. That right there is how I really knew she's truly conflicted. She is truly conflicted. And it's, I'm not saying sad just to say sad I'm not saying that just to say it, right? And I'm not attempting to patronize her. No, it's truly sad seeing her, once again, her is Tracee Ellis Ross, seeing Maya, seeing Taraji. Taraji is heartbreaking. Taraji is that cute around the way sister, a bit hood. And to see her, remember during a little bit, it was during COVID when we heard that she bought a gun and she was considering self-deletion, right? Self-deleting herself. And now we see her on Angie Martinez. And by the way, notice what I said earlier. I said Tracee Ellis Ross and Drew Barrymore were talking about depression, and so was Angie Martinez and Taraji. They're not saying the word. They're talking about being depressed. Angie Martinez is a Latina who grew up around the way Latina, grew up around Latino dudes and black dudes, miserable. Money, fame, known for what 2-3 decades for being a DJ, radio DJ. What you got? Depressed. Taraji made her way in Hollywood. Famous, rich. She at least has a son. Depressed. And that's true. When I say sad, I mean, to me, it's truly sad. I'm not attempting to patronize these women. I'm not attempting to get you brothers to feel the same way I feel. But these are the women I drooled over growing up. These are the women that me and my friends would talk about when we were kids. All of them. From Monica, Maya, Brandy. Oh, you like her? Oh, no, man. No, you wildin'. And debate about it and talk about how attractive we think they are. From when we were teenagers all through our 20s. And now we're in our 30s just watching these women one after the other crack. Where are you divestors and swirlers at? These women were around white dudes too with money and fame and power. Look at them. Janet caught her, the Arab dude. It was a negotiation marriage. It didn't mean not much. She popped out that baby. Skirt. Until y'all realize that there's something up with you're conflicted between all of this female empowerment language, which really is female domination language. I'm okay for women empowerment. Equal pay for equal work and all that. Mr. Z, voting, all of that. Nobody's against that. Especially not no black man worth his salt. But when y'all start doing the female domination thing under the guise of female empowerment, I would like to direct y'all to all y'all black extra famous women. Just look at them. For all of us millennials, for all of us Gen Z, just look at them. Look at them. I didn't even start going into the women groups yet. All the singing groups, Total, In Vogue. I didn't even start picking through them yet and see what's going on with them. That's depressing. Watching as all of your crushes when you were a kid, just one after the other, essentially tell you without saying it, because the inner feminism in them won't let them say it, they're depressed and manless. Right? Depressed and manless. Stay safe out there, brother. Detroit, thanks you for the super chat. Detroit says, thank God I made it through the snow. 100. Was driving a semi truck in the snow and actually roads are worse. Bro, be careful out there. I have family members and you know, relatives, and yeah, I have relatives and friends who drive trucks, and yeah, just be careful out there, bro. Yeah, I know that especially, you know, many of y'all in the northern Midwest, all through the Northeast, you know, yeah, y'all getting snow like a mug. Y'all get, yeah, that winter is kicking y'all butt. Indigo said, in Vogue, shoot, if Dawn is still free, I'll holler. Like, I'm telling y'all, these are the women that we drooled over, right? These are all the women that we drooled over. Xers and millennials, we drooled over these women when we were in our teens, when we were in our 20s. Like I said, all through the early aughts. We're not even 30 years out of the early aughts. We're 20 years. Not even a full. And these women are in their 40s and 50s, breaking in front of us. Have all the access to the best therapists. Have all the access to all the rich and famous men. And they've had access to all the rich and famous men for 20 and 30 years now. Y'all not just getting into Hollywood. Y'all have had access. And if you, Janet, you had access to these men since you were 18. If we want to go legal, if we want to be illegal, then shit, your whole life. But you have had access to these men since the when did Janet become 18? What, in the 80s? You've had access. Janet has had access to these men for what, 40 years? Practically 40 years? Mariah, name them. At least Mariah got married to Nick Cannon, had her 2 kids, and, you know, they ended up with the billionaire. Now we don't know so much what's going on with her and her love life, but I've heard the rumor before. Victor Creed said Janet had that DeBarge baby. I heard the rumor. Right? Man. It's truly sad. So, you know, and Tracee Ellis Ross also gave a story on the Drew Barrymore show where she spoke of meeting Keanu Reeves in an elevator, or seeing Keanu Reeves on an elevator, and it's just him and her. And, you know, for her age group and her circle, I guess they were drooling over Keanu. And she was like, she was conflicted. She's like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Do I introduce myself? Do I tell him how much I've been drooling over him? Da, 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 da. And as she's thinking about it, the elevator goes down, the doors open, and he walks out. And I'm like, that's the perfect, that's like the perfect analogy for your life right now, Tracee. Number one, you're conflicted and you're debating yourself. Number two, you're letting the best opportunities pass you by when it comes to love and marriage and relationships, because you're conflicted between a woman who wants marriage and children and this kind of whatever brand of feminism you've bought into. Ta-da! Wow. Wow. That's a perfect and when she said, I don't want to be possessed, I'm like, then don't be in a relationship. You can't be in a relationship and think like that. That's not how it works. All this, I don't want to lose my identity and I don't want to lose my independence. You can't be in a relationship. And I'm telling y'all right now, watching Kim from Fort Harriet and all of that, if we think Xer women got it bad, I think millennials, man, Gen Z, y'all pay attention. Gen Z, the youngest of y'all that listen to Mr. Z, y'all pay attention. Watch the oldest of millennial famous women. Watch them. You think Gen X? Oh man. You think Gen X women are cracking in front of us? Wait until millennial women come of age. All of y'all aunts and way older cousins and way older siblings that's in their 30s right now. I'm talking to all you 18, 19, 20-year-olds that listen to me. Wait until your 40-year-old, 39-year-old, 38-year-old girl cousin is 50. Just wait. Not even 50. When she's 45. In the next couple of years, watch. All of that arrogance she front like it's confidence, let her still have no man and no children by 48 years old. All of that talk. And don't worry, they're going to blame men just like Tracee Ellis Ross tried to. All of these women we drew, Trina, even the super hood chicks, I know some of y'all not interested in, all of them. At least Eve got her a man, and now she got a child. Yeah, it's a white dude, and at least Eve was like, all right, I'm out. We could say what we want about her saying, I found a man to tame me, a black woman talking about a white man taming her and how cringy that is and racist it is, but at least she got a man. But all these other Gen X women, the famous ones, the black ones, I don't know. You conflicted between men ain't ish, black women empowerment, black girl magic, even before it was a term. It's been a concept forever, but before it was a term, you conflicted between black girl magic, black men ain't ish, men ain't ish. All your consumerism and materialist concepts, and then wanting to be a mother and a wife. Man. And we're watching. And shout out to Kevin Lukeman. Kevin said, within 5 years, this will go mainstream, and the machine will have to acknowledge there is a problem. The machine is going to rip these people apart. And yes, let's be very clear. There will be some male casualties. Oh, don't get it twisted. Mr. Z's not, no, Mr. Z's not dumb. Oh no, there's gonna be brothers that are sad and depressed too, but ain't gonna have nothing on the women. And for the most part, for us, if we could pay for some vagina, we'll be good to go. That'll be enough of a band-aid. And for those of us that are really, I'm gonna sound real dark right now. For those of us that is that serious, we'll just self-delete. Self-delete the quick, fast way, or slowly self-delete by drinking ourselves into an early grave. Yeah. That doesn't mean there's not gonna be male casualties. Oh, there's gonna be male casualties, but ain't nothing on the women. Because it's cheaper and easier to make us happy, and definitely to make us content. Happier is a higher bar, but to be content, oh yeah, our bar is way lower than the women's bar, way lower, and we're less conflicted. That part too, and we're less conflicted. Timmy Phil said, shout out to you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Timmy Phil said it would be more harder to talk about the Gen X women that are married. I'm saying the famous ones, yeah, yeah. And like I said, like, this is not to throw it in. I'm not making fun of. I might poke a little fun of, but and overall, I'm not making fun of Gen X women. I I want to be clear for anyone, all the women that are listening. I'm a black man. I only date black women. I will only marry a black woman. Number one. Yes, this is Mr. Z qualifying his statements. Number one. Number two, I actually do care about the outcome of other black people, including black women. Number two, I understand for the not famous of you, what's going on with you affects the men. Period. There is no black women over here, black men over there, even though black women been trying their very absolute hardest for it to be that way. So for the less famous of you and the regular of you and the normal of you, that depression is going to affect us as black men, because it's going to affect your sons, which we are, and your baby daddies, which we are, and your ex-husbands, which we are, and your brothers, which we are, and your uncles, which we are, and your fathers, which we are. So what happened with you and all your depression, your self-induced depression, does affect us. Your delusions does affect us. For that sister, what's wrong with being delusional? Who does it hurt? It hurts everyone, including you. That TikTok video, what's wrong with being delusional? You know what's wrong with being delusional? Age and time. That delusional stuff is cute when you're still young and tight and right, and your bones ain't aching, and your body can afford for you to work over 40 hours a week. Yeah, the delusion, you don't see the cost of delusion at that point. It was a young sister I was speaking to, got to be maybe a year ago now, if not longer, on the Radical Latinos channel. It was a black young sister. I think she was 18 or 19 or something like that. And I was telling her, like, pay attention to the older women. And she pretty much told me, yeah, I'm not worried about that. Exactly. Exactly. No, I said, that's not what I said. I said something like, what about when you're 30 plus? What about when you're 35 plus? But she can't see it. Not at 18, 19. So all that delusion and making men's lives miserable and skipping over dudes you know would be the best option for you, because the hood dude makes your johnny wet, the street dude makes your johnny wet, and there's hood without street. There's hood brothers that still follow the rules and blah blah blah. Yes, that exists. Or you just trying to go after the aspiring football players, basketball players, entertainers, rappers, singers, because a particular lifestyle you're trying to live. You don't want to deal with the slow grind up the ladder. That's okay. That's cool. I understand. But you could pull that. You could pull that right up until about 28. For most women, we're not talking about the extraordinary or the lucky that squeeze in through the door at 37 years old. No. For most people, for most women in particular, you could pull all those stunts up until about 28, if you're lucky 30. Your mothers are not telling you that. Your aunts are not telling you that because they believe, and this is one of the worst things women do to other women. They believe blowing smoke up y'all rear end is better than making y'all depressed by telling y'all the truth. They believe in just giving y'all a bunch of positivity, what I call toxic positivity, and optimism as a drug. They believe that is more beneficial than being honest with you and maybe making you a little depressed, maybe making you have a bit more urgency in finding a spouse because they're angry and resentful at your ex-uncle-in-law or your father, their baby daddy, their ex-husbands. So they don't tell you, hey, I'm not telling you that it's the end of the world if you don't meet a man. I'm not telling you that you gotta jump out at 18 and this is the most important thing ever, even though it kind of is, right? But keep an eye out. Don't overlook, right? It don't gotta be the central part of your life when you're in college, but And then y'all turn 18, 24, 28, 32. Oh, 28, I forgot. 28 is when y'all throw a temper tantrum and now y'all celibate. So from about 32, from 28 to about 30, 31, 32, 33, it depends on how strong your discipline is. That's when y'all talking about y'all celibate. For those of you that actually go down that route. That's when y'all talk about y'all celibate. That's when y'all are hell on men. So you go from being easy to the type of dudes you find attractive to being hell on all men. Oh, I ain't having sex with you. I hope you don't think this restaurant mean this. I hope you don't think this mean that. Or you're going to have to deal with me. Yeah, that sound nice. And this is when it gets sketchy. Then you give in to a man. God forbid it doesn't work out. You're done. 38, 39, 40 years old. By 40, you are the angriest person on the planet. I've seen it. Black men, we've seen it. That last dude, they put all their hopes in. The dude they met at 33 or 34 years old, they put that dude was supposed to save them from everything. God forbid it don't work out. And God forbid it was actually his fault. He broke her heart. She hates men now. Hates them. Particularly black men. Oh, she hates men now. Y'all tell me I'm lying. Because she said, I gave it up to men easy. She didn't give it up to men easy. She gave it up to men easy that she liked all through her late teens and 20s. Then I did the whole celibate thing. Then I dated the type of man I don't even like. I had sex with him. I don't even like those type of guys. I made myself attracted to him. Right? And it didn't work out. And now I'm 39, 40, 41. Oh, she hates men. And she definitely hates you, black man. That last relationship don't work out. In they early, and by the way, the age could vary, obviously. That mid-30s relationship could be the late 30s to early 40s relationship, but that relationship don't work out. And like I said, God forbid it was actually his fault. Oh, she hates men. Even if it was her fault, she hates men. But if it was his, oh, she turns into K. Michelle. Men aren't good people. And thank you, Big Kev. Big Kev's in here. Big Kev said, going to. It's already affecting black men for 50 years. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. You're right. What happens? Yeah, you're right. What happens with them affects us. Yes. Yes. You're right, brother. But like I said, Tracee Ellis Ross, at least she's famous. You could start seeing it in her face that she's getting older. Well, not getting. She's older. But her body is still a little right. Okay. But at least she's famous and she got the material goods to kind of distract her from her depression. But for the rest of you sisters, for the rest of you black women, we're talking about your everyday black woman. Your middle class, working poor, working class black woman. Your $35,000 to about $70,000 a year black woman. For the rest of you, that's a different conversation. And like I said, I'm not attempting to throw this in Miss Tracee Ellis Ross' face. I'm not trying to throw this in celebrity black women's face, or even oldest of millennial celebrity or rich black women's face. That's not what this is about. It is about, though, using your stories as a cautionary tale for the youngest of millennials and the Gen Z coming up behind them. Right? And Indigo Flow says, when I see Tracy's thirst trap, I think using pictures, but thirst trap pictures, I just keep scrolling. Y'all remember right when Megan Good divorced her husband, we saw them thirst trap videos? Y'all remember? Before she even got with whatever type of dude that is. Looked like a hood Latino dude or whatever, light skin, racial ambiguous black dude, or I don't think he's white, but whatever. Remember we saw those thirst trap videos? Yeah, it's a formula. It's for their, first of all, it's for their own ego, and secondly, it's to say I'm on the market now. You see, we see the more classy of them coming from Tia Mallory, the twin. We see it from her too. She's doing it classier. She messing with her hair and doing her makeup. Yep, come on, man. We're not dumb. Now, what's interesting about women is they're gonna claim. At least Tracee actually admitted that's what she did on the Drew Barrymore show. The other women are gonna, no, I'm not. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it. Whatever. Azrael says he's a Pakistani battle rapper. You left your a Pakistani battle rapper. Yawn. Thank you, Victor. Vic was like, he's an Arabic battle rapper. Wow. 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 All right, Megan. All right. All right. All right. Hey. Okay. Like I said, Miss Ross, Miss Tracee Ellis Ross. I feel weird attempting to give any type of advice, especially that I'm not married also, and I'm way younger than her, way less traveled and way less experienced. But it let me know when she said, I don't want to be possessed. I'm like, that age went out, the age gap went out the window, the experience went out the window, because I'm like, there's no way you said that. What? You actually said that. You don't want to feel, maybe it's something I'm missing. Maybe there's something that she sees with some of those men in Hollywood in particular, probably those rich white dudes in particular, let's be honest. in Hollywood that treat their girlfriends and wives and side chicks, especially the ones that are not famous or whatever, like they own them. Maybe that's what she's speaking to, and I don't get it, obviously, because I'm not in those circles. That's possible. But if you're not speaking about that and you're just speaking about just generally in a relationship with a heterosexual straight man and you don't want to feel possessed, yeah, no, you're mine. You're mine. You're not for everyone, you're mine. And I don't care how cringy it sounds to you. That's the problem now. Y'all conflicted between all of this feminist talk. Shout out to the radical feminists. Shout out to the Combahee River Collective. Shout out to the angry women in Britain. Y'all, what? Y'all ideology won. We are watching women left and right want to be married, want to have children, want the affection, the attention of a man, of men, while they battle also their inner feminist demons that make them feel like, oh, I don't want to be possessed. I still want to be independent. I want to be married and independent simultaneously. Because, and this, y'all remember the video that I made talking about the LGBTQ brothers and sisters and these queer folks talking too much? That's what I was speaking to. The Khadijas of the world giving y'all worldview on relationships, and y'all turn out like Tracee Ellis Ross. Get away from the binary, non-binary, intersectional feminist thought. And y'all end up like Tracee Ellis Ross. Because the men ain't move. Ooh, goddamn. And yeah, men are more open. Men wash dishes. Men mop and sweep. All of that stuff. All of that chore stuff. Yeah. But the core of men, oh no, that didn't really move, and y'all know it. And that was the whole point. Once again, shout out to the brother Green Gorilla. Came with the receipts. FD, if you need to talk to somebody and debate someone, yes, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, of course. Of course. But you gotta talk to Dr. Green Gorilla so that he could throw that feminism stuff in your face. So that because he know it. And he know the authors, and he know the papers, and he know all of that. And I would love to see how you deal with that. I would love to see how you deal with that. The feminists straight up said they knew what they were doing. They knew it wasn't going to work. And that was the whole point. Because they were the radical feminists were trying to take the women away from the men. Because your average woman, yeah, I know some of us, even your average black woman don't hate black men. They have issues with black men. They don't hate them. They don't despise them. They don't want to see them hurt. And the radical feminists knew that. How are we going to take these women away from these men? How are we going? And this is where the capitalists come in too. How are we going to make money off of these women? And now you got Tracee Ellis Ross. Tracee, y'all remember a couple years ago, she was talking about how she doesn't want to be defined by this type of relationship thing. She was pretty much saying, she was contradicting herself. About 2-3 years ago, it was all about her independence and doing this and being an independent soul and all this other talk she was talking. And we all knew she was, I said it then. Was on BGS channel, we talked about it for a second or two. I said it then, she was like, first of all, we all knew she was full of crap. I wasn't saying anything new. We all knew she was just trying to be stoic and keep a stiff upper lip. 2 years later, 3 years later, shit, I knew that Tracee Ellis Ross wasn't about that life for real, off of one episode of The Girlfriends. Yeah, Mr. Z used to watch Girlfriends. One episode of Girlfriends where the dark-skinned sister got engaged and Tracee Ellis Ross threw a damn fit in the show. And she was jealous about it. And I was like, that's some really good acting. I wonder how much of it is not acting. And that show was, that episode is 20 years old at this point? Something like that? 15 years old? Something like that? So you imagine how she feel now in real life? Tracee Ellis Ross, sis, it ain't the end of the world, but I don't, all right. This is, ladies, this is what Kevin Samuels was talking about. Y'all hated him. Y'all danced on his grave. This is what he was. Y'all, the man been dead for over 6 months, and we just watching the examples he was giving y'all. What y'all thought? Why y'all thought Vivica was dancing on his grave? Because what he said hit her in the gut, and he used her as an example. Let's be honest. But look, it's not just look at Tracee Ellis Ross. Look at y'all watch Taraji and Angie Martinez barely keep it together on that interview. Barely keep it together on that interview. They both look like they want to jump off a bridge. Then y'all watch Drew Barrymore and Tracee Ellis Ross essentially speak about depression without saying the words. Come on, man. Like, all right. Y'all watch Maya marry herself. Y'all seeing Monica pretty much stand outside the damn prison waiting for C. Murder to get out. Left and right. Y'all watch snappy ass Lisa Ray try to snap on Trick Daddy for saying the most benign things and tell you how a man's supposed to pay for everything and da. Miss Lisa Ray, you the famous one, you know that, right? You realize that. I mean, like, unless you still dealing with some of them Hollywood dudes, that's probably using you for target practice. I ain't gonna take you seriously. Oops, too late. Like, we're watching it with all of these extra women. We're watching it. Look at Claudia Jordan. We're watching it. All that intersectional talk, sound nice, look at the women. All right, fine, F the men, F them forever. Look at the women, the extra women, the famous ones are example. That's getting all of your advice from queer and LGBTQ people and this non-binary talk and all this talk about intersectional. That's what it got you. Rich, famous, connected, got all the material stuff they could ever want. No man, it doesn't matter because they're depressed. Taraji doesn't want for anything material, that is. Tracee Ellis Ross doesn't want for anything material, that is. Monica, Brandy, they could literally go out right now and go buy a $400,000 car, $300,000 car right now. Right now. We struggling to buy houses. They could literally go out and buy a $250,000 car without blinking. Janet could literally do that multiple times over and it wouldn't hurt her pocket at all. What that mean? That show with Chili dating is an example of their life. Chili was just loud about it. That's almost all of them. And look at where they are now. And once again, I'm not making fun of these women. I am not. I'm using them as an example to say to you, younger millennial women and you Gen Z women, all right. Oh yeah, and I gotta throw this in because I always gotta throw it in. And they had access to the rich white dudes also. All of them. Janet had access to the rich white dudes her entire life. Maya had access to him. Monica had access to him. Brandy had access to him. Name them. How many of them actually end up with that dude? Chili just getting one 10 years younger than her now. Holly, look at Holly is a whole basket case. She been with white, black, had white dudes fighting, bruh. Y'all forgot it was all black men's fault until she ended up with the white dudes and had them fighting. No, let me tell you to say this to the younger men. Women were defending Halle Berry until them white boys started fighting. They always do it. It's always the men's fault, particularly the black men's fault. When the white guys, when she went from one white guy to the other white guy and then had them fighting, all those women that used to defend Holly, mute. Mute. And thanks for the super chat. Big Kev says, guys like F.D Signifier can't accept the fact that their ideology won. Their far left and female supremacist views won the day. Exactly. And thanks, Raj. Raj with the super sticker. Thank Raj. So thanks, Big Kevin. Thanks, Raj. Look, Raj could tell y'all better than I can. Raj is Generation X. So from younger Generation X like Raj to older Generation X like Art New Style, let Generation X men tell y'all. Let Rogish tell y'all. Let the brother DC tell y'all. I might be too young. Let the Xer brothers tell y'all. Somebody tell me I'm lying. All of these Generation X celebrity women we were drooling over. Us Xer and millennial men drooling over when we were kids. What do we see? Kareen says Chili ended up with the white man, Mr. Z. I know she with the white dude from Boy Meets World that's 10 years younger than her. I know. Let's see how long that lasts. It could turn into marriage. Maybe. But what's she going to do? Give him a kid? Let's see. You never know. And he wasn't even the main dude. So, you know, I'll end that part of the commentary with Tracee Ellis Ross. That's sad. That's, once again, Tracee, Tracee Diana Ross is your mom. You had access to white, black, Latino, whatever rich, famous dudes your whole life. Your entire life you had access to the like top of the top, not just in fame, but those dudes that we don't know about that run things behind the scenes that are millionaires and billionaires. You had access to those. As a matter of fact, your own commentary on Drew Barrymore is how you were on the Concorde, because your mom said, hey, if y'all want me here to do this thing, my daughter got to come with me. All right, jump on the Concorde. One of the few people to ever actually ride the Concorde. For those of y'all that don't know, Concorde was a passenger jet that went Mach 1. It broke the speed, the sound barrier, excuse me. They don't make it anymore. Nobody rides the Concorde. It's just in museums. It was a joint effort built by the Brits and the French. Tracee Ellis Ross, you live that life. You grew up around the men that live that life. You are Diana Ross's daughter. It's not like your mom started making money when you were 20. No, you grew up in that life your entire life. And your dad got money. Exactly. Tracee Silverstein. I thought it was Silverstein. I think it's a B in there. But yeah, and your dad got money. So you had access to the rich white Jewish dudes too. Okay, fine. You don't want to end up with a black dude. You shy away from your mom's side of the game. Okay, cool. You had access to the rich white Jewish guys also, Tracee. You can't say it's men. You can't say it's men. You had access to the dudes that would have played that whole um non-binary thing, or that you don't gotta, because Tracee, you got money, you don't gotta wash no dishes. You don't want to mop the floor. So many of these things that women are afraid that men want them to do. You had the money to not worry about none of that. You can't blame patriarchy for this one, Miss Ross. Miss Silberstein. You know, and that's I like I said, I'm just gonna use her as an example. You know, this is I'm picking up the mantle of BGS, the Raj Report, rest in peace, Kevin, um, Obsidian. I'm just picking up their mantle and saying this is what we talking about. You could keep on listening to FD if you want to. You could keep on listening to Kim from For Heritage if you want to. This is the one place you know, me and Julesy, it depends. This is why I disagree with her. You could keep on listening to Julesy if you want to. You could keep on listening to Khadijah if you want to. Exhibit A. All of these black female celebrities, y'all could say what y'all want. And then what drives me crazy is when you go through the comments for some of these things, it's just nothing but women blowing smoke up their rear end. It's the same thing with the Eartha Kitt video. Compromise for what? For who? Da-da. You go through the comments and it's just nothing but women agreeing with her, clapping it up for her. And I'm like, all right, y'all will see why she really sounded like that. But it's going to be worse for you. As I said before, if y'all don't plan on eating some vagina, I don't see how this works. If y'all don't plan on being in a same-sex relationship, I don't see how this works. Maybe that's why y'all getting y'all advice from people like Khadijah who tell y'all they queer and they don't got to worry about what men's opinions are. Maybe that's why maybe y'all are like the women version of the trans-maxing dudes. Y'all are watching these things to psychologically prepare y'all to be in same-sex relationships. Maybe. And if that's the case, then I'll retract everything I said. You still can't be insufferable in a same-sex relationship, though, so that's that part. You still got to work in a same-sex relationship, so there's that part, too. So, hey. I don't know. And on that note, we'll pause on the Tracee Ellis Ross conversation and move to the main event. Y'all get ready. So, I checked out FD because I if I remember correctly, he did say something about towards the end of last year, like he was going to try to do something, a few things differently and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And so I checked out his interview with Adam and Sitch. And, you know, I'm a lefty, so there's a lot of what FD said that I agree with. With that, I actually think he knocked it out the park. I think he actually schooled them. Let me address that before I get into the Bernard interview. So we're not talking about where black people are, because we already established black people for the most part that are conservative are lowercase c conservative, right? But I really want to say Lilo and Stitch so bad, but Sitch and Adam, because of the Candace Owens of the world and Thomas Sowells of the world, they actually think that way more black people are like conservative to the point of voting Republican. That's what I mean. Not have family values that are conservative, or maybe even some economic concepts that are conservative, but no, conservative to the point of voting Republican and enthusiastically. They really thought that in the first, not like in 50 years or in 60 years, like this next election, that there's a possibility that the majority of black people or a significant amount of black people would vote Republican. And that speaks to something that I agree with FD on the algorithm got many of us in our bubbles and it's like sending us information or sending us opinions that we already hold or that we're biased on, and it makes us think that this is a thing. Right? Now, I'm saying that knowing that FD's like, yes, that's what I'm saying about you, brothers, like you, Mr. Z, with all of this focus on divestors, and they're not a thing. I know that if he's listening, I know he's saying that to himself. But continuing. So he is 100% right. He actually went on there and schooled them and pretty much told, like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And so I agree with him 100. You know, getting into your echo chambers, listening to some of these things, and then you think you know, but you don't really know. And yeah, he knocked it out the park with that. And you see that oftentimes with a lot of white folks, you know, particularly on the right side of the political spectrum, who like you saw it with Gavin McInnes when he was speaking to Cornel West and Candace Owens. And yeah, black people are resentful of Joe Biden. Of course, the ones of us that did vote for him, Mr. Z did not vote for him, that know better, did it grinding our teeth to dust. It really was their concept of voting for the lesser two evils. I couldn't do it because I saw Trump and Biden literally as equally just as bad. There was no voting for the lesser of two evils, like, at all for me. So I couldn't do it. I voted down ballot. But, you know, Gavin McInnes and this is the thing with like those, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You white guys bring in the black people that tell you what you want to hear. Y'all bring in the Candace Owens. Y'all bring in the Thomas Sowells. Y'all bring in the Tim Scotts. Y'all bring them in, and then when they tell y'all what y'all want to hear, y'all then actually believe it, and then you're, at least maybe if you're pretending, maybe you're pretending, but then you look shocked when the numbers don't reflect, like, you know, I don't know, 30, 40% of the black community voting Republican. And you believe that it could have been the case because y'all are bringing in like these, you know, yes men around you. That's what y'all did with Candace Owens. 94% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. Y'all use Candace Owens to be like, oh, look, we're not racist, and look, there's black women that like us too. Y'all use Kim Klacik for the same thing. Y'all use Mia Love for the same thing. And then when the next election come in, and then still it was what, 92 or something percent, and maybe dropped off a couple of percentage points. 92% of black women still vote for Biden. Y'all like, oh my God. What? First of all, y'all are not surprised. Let's cut the crap. Y'all know y'all are not actually tailoring a message for black people, particularly black women. Y'all know y'all are not. That's okay, cool. Y'all feign being surprised. Okay, cool. But there's only if let's do this. Y'all could actually win over black people with the reparations talk, but y'all don't want to do that. Y'all are never going to do that. If the Republican Party was to ever let the Democratic Party be the ones to sign off on reparations the way that the majority of black Americans want it to be given, if the Democrats were the ones to actually do it, the Republicans would lose the black community forever. Not for a generation or two, forever. And that does matter because now y'all would have to find a way to pull in other people of color, LGBTQ non-black people, bolster and straighten up your white, because remember how many white folks, it's still not the majority, but how many white folks vote Democrat. Y'all would have to pull so many of those white Democrats over. If the Democrat Party was the one to sign off on reparations, the Republican Party wouldn't be dead per se, but y'all would have y'all at least the arm blown off. At least. Right? So, all right. So, once again, and those two white dudes actually admit they're kind of defective lefties, which you find that a lot. It's what I said to the woman that bought me into the Democratic Party when I worked for them. I said this to her. I was like, let's say her name was Lisa. I was like, Lisa, I'm telling you, The Bernie bros are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. They're not. And she was like, yeah, that's what the white women said with Obama, and they still voted for Obama and he won. That's what they said when Hillary didn't beat Obama. And I'm like, listen, Lisa. Listen, Linda. Listen, Lisa. I'm telling you, these white guys, the black people that are not for Bernie, the ones that are not for Hillary, they're not coming over. They will vote for Trump out of spite, or they will stay home. And believe it or not, so I saw her a little bit after that 2016 election, and she was like, Z, you were right. You were right. You were right. And she said it to everybody at the table I was with her. He said it to me. He kept on telling me, and I didn't believe it, and he was right. Right? So I'm saying that to Adam and Sitch to say, don't. Well, first, y'all are kind of disaffected white lefties, and I get it. But you know, with that, the Republic, and this is where I agree with FD. Not saying the Democratic Party isn't racist. So for all the brothers that are listening, we ain't saying once again, when we speak about how the Republicans are racist, we're not saying the Democrats aren't racist. Right? Oh God, I'm about to say it. This is not a binary. God, how it tastes coming out my mouth. Once again, right? This is not a political binary. Right? I know y'all are laughing hearing that. But the Republican Party is so like drooling out the mouth racist, so frothing out the mouth racist, you can't actually expect a significant amount of black people to vote for them. Some people are going to vote for them to spite the Democrats, right? Understandable. Once again, there's going to be other black people like you. There's going to be black people like you two that are disaffected liberals and Democrats who vote Republican. But oftentimes, like I said before in a previous video, they're going to vote third party, or they're not going to vote at all. Or they're going to vote down ballot, like yours truly. Right? This is why, and white people in America really forget how much of their reality doesn't apply to black people. They really, like, when we all say Americans, like, they forget black people. Y'all ain't never really see black people like as Americans. Even though Mr. Z has always told y'all the most Americans in America are black Americans. Mr. Z has always said that. But y'all don't really see them as American the same way as you, and you've made it very clear throughout American history. And black people's reality is fundamentally different in America than white people's reality. And it's like y'all forget that when it comes to like everything political and social. Yeah, it's like y'all forget the hierarchy. Like, yeah, we're on top and the black people are on the bottom, but they're still gonna vote and think and feel exactly about America the way we do. It doesn't work that way. Right? We don't all get to be the same type of American on election day outside of the ability to vote. And that's for US citizens, obviously. Right? And KW Don says, thank you for the super chat, brother. KW Don says the conservatives would attempt to use the Supreme Court to invalidate any reparations bill put together by the Democratic Party. And I don't disagree with you on that. I will say this, though. What would be interesting is people attempting to justify going against reparations. I think the fight for reparations will be the most, and I agree with Black Uru on this, will be the most interesting view into America, arguably in American history. It's going to be interesting watching white folks, non-black, non-ADOS black folks, watching non-black people of color argue against reparations, right? It's going to be interesting watching that. Because we already know the main question is going to be, the main topic is going to be like, well, my ancestors weren't here when this happened, this and this. Yeah, but when you come to America, you take on all of everything. You take on its pluses and its minuses, especially when you become a U.S. citizen. If you did, that's why you moved here. You moved here for the institutions, funded by the taxes, funded by the documents. You moved here for that. You forgot? You moved here for that. That if you're paying taxes, you moved here for the roads. You moved here for the constantly running light. You moved here for that. Your parents or grandparents moved here for that. You don't get to say, yeah, no, I don't want to be part of it when it comes time to pay reparations to ADOS FBA. But it's going to be interesting watching these people, run about being squeamish or attempting to justify why they shouldn't have to pay reparations. That's going to be beautiful. Particularly the black people, the Irish and the Italian descent people. Well, I'm Irish and I'm Italian and we didn't benefit from you got considered white by the 1950s? Yes, you have. Right? So that's going to be super interesting. Right? That's going to be super interesting. So that's, I was riding with FD on that one. That with the conversation with Sitch, and some of you conservative brothers, I think that this is the one place that y'all would agree with FD. The conversation with him, Sitch, and Adam, the two white guys. Okay, so like I said, so FD seems like his New Year's resolution was to kind of engage with certain people he wasn't engaging with earlier. Okay, so that's that conversation. So once I saw that, I was like, okay, so he's really. I never actually thought he would have came over here to the Black Manosphere though. Now, the Bernard Riley interview. So let's get to the main topic, main course. All right. Bernard did a great job of not letting FD move about. Shout out to the brother Bernard for you being humble enough to say, essentially, maybe I'm a little over my depth here, and I think you should talk to the BGSs, the Dr. T's of the world. I also want to throw in Dr. Green Gorilla, Dr. Ron O'Neill, obviously Dr. Tommy Curry. But I think either FD or if I remember correctly, FD or Bernard Riley mentioned Dr. Curry, and FD said Dr. Curry has him blocked and whatever. But we know people that know people. We can get you to have a conversation with Dr. Tommy Curry. I am voting mainly, and obviously Dr. T knows me and whatever, no offense to Dr. T. I really want to see a conversation with Dr. Green Gorilla and F.D Signifier. That's the one I'm voting for, right? But once again, shout out to Bernard Riley for, him just being humble enough and not being an egomaniac or anything like that, and not being too prideful and saying, you need to, if you need, I can hook you up with them. You need to have a conversation with these brothers. Right? These are the brothers that are just as accomplished as you, if not more. They read the same type of books as you. They went through the same type of literature as you. These are the people you need to speak to if you're going to be engaging with the Black Manosphere. Agree with him. I agree with Bernard a zillion % on that. I would love to have a conversation with FD, but I agree with Bernard. I might be a little out of my depth. And so, yes, I agree with, shout out to you, Brother Bernard. We disagree on certain political philosophies, but this one, you knocked it out the park. Okay. Oh, let me read this before I continue. Rogan said, called it. Shout out to the shout out to the inevitable colored operators of white supremacy, or the valuing style of white supremacy. DeSantis, throw it up. I'm gonna have to have a whole conversation about Florida politics eventually, and I'm gonna have to bring some people on that know way more than I do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that eventually, right? All right, so continuing. So the part of women not getting the appropriate criticism, and FD saying he disagrees, but moving along. FD, they don't, as evidenced by even you, brother. Now, let me make a caveat in saying FD also doesn't throw black men under the bus the way he could, and believe it or not, the way he could, and he said it himself, because he knows many white people watch him, even white liberals, and he's not going to give them red meat to then throw in black men's faces. So I got to give him credit on that one. We got to give him credit on that one. But brother, you said yourself on your video about the Black Manosphere on the segment of Divestors, you said yourself you wasn't putting out the most egregious content. You yourself aren't giving the black women all of the appropriate criticism. The society isn't either. The black community in particular isn't either. And I want to say this, FD, you took a shot at me. You took a shot at me, and you took a shot at a lot of other people like me who do spend an inordinate amount of time talking about the divestors. Of course I am, and I will continue to. Because your ideology told us to ignore them over the past 50 years. And now look at them. And not just the overt card carrying, drooling out the mouth divestors. All the sisters, once again, like I said, the boomers, the Xers, and the oldest of millennial black women in academia, in Hollywood, all over corporate America, who have these absolute horrible concepts and ideas about black men. Men like you, obviously older than you, told us to ignore those women coming out of the civil rights movement, coming out of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and those women continue to put out movies like Waiting to Excel, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Color Purple, with the Brewster's Place movie, all of these movies, all of these books, all of these weirdo concepts. And the Kimberly Crenshaws with the death knell with intersectionality that pretty much benign neglected black men and black boys and their plights. Right? 4 Color Girls, all of this. No Scrubs. Name the songs, the movies, the books, the articles written by black men and black women, the characters, the big-alongs in the Harriet movie, name them. The articles like black men or the white supremacists of the black community or something along those lines, right? Black men or the white men of the black community, something along. All of those articles, once again, written by black men or white men. I mean, excuse me, black men or, I call black women white men. Oops. That was a Freudian slip. Well, I guess I mean it. So, all of that, and all of that came out because brothers like you, obviously older than you, but that's particular ideology, kept on telling brothers like me to ignore those women. Ignore them. Ignore Oprah so that a decade or so later she can bring on Terry McMillan. And all these other, and legitimize all of these weirdo academic black women that hate black men, and you know they do. And make Bell Hooks a somewhat known name in the black community. Not really known like that, but kind of known. Because brothers like you kept on attempting to shame brothers like me for talking about, hey, y'all see that, right? Y'all don't hear what she's saying? Oh no, I forgot FD and brothers like him are so hyper-focused on the men, the black men, who they claim are misogynistic and patriarchal, and ignore the women. Y'all realized the travesty of allowing black women coming out of the 70s and the 80s to say black men are talking black and sleeping white? Do y'all understand the travesty of that? When so many literally Loving versus Virginia was a black woman marrying a white man? Y'all understand the travesty? I know she didn't identify as black, but a black woman marrying a white man? Y'all understand the travesty of all of these black women coming out of the civil rights movement, sleeping with, attempting to marry, didn't happen that much, but sleeping with white men, particularly some Latino men, even a couple of Asian guys. The mixed Asian and black chick that was on the first, was it Real Housewives of whatever, and she was married to the football player, one of the football players. She only was there for like 1 or 2 seasons, but her mother was a black woman married to an Asian dude. She used to be married to not Wesley Snipes. Was it? No. She used to be married to oh my God, it's right there. What's it? What? No. Why am I mistaking this person for Wesley? It's right there. Was it? No, damn it. Was it Keith Sweat? Why am I mistaking all these dark-skinned brothers for the same people? Sorry, y'all. Was it? It wasn't Wesley. Who was it that this lady was married to? I can't remember. But yeah, Indigo Flow. That's my point. The hypocrisy. All of these sisters who was having sex with, and then even many of them who married white dudes, in the 80s and in the mid and late 70s, and black women talking about the black guys, and made it a mantra of black men talking black and sleeping white. In the FDs of the world, the older FDs, told us to ignore all of that. We making too much of that. We turning a mountain out of a molehill. No. So yeah, brother, I heard you take that shot. I knew you were talking about brothers like me, and you've been in my comments, so I know you were talking about me. Keith Sweat, thank you. Yes, yes, Alicia, thank you very much. Keith Sweat's ex-wife, mother, is a black woman who was married to an Asian dude, and you know, yeah. Watched the episode with my mom one time, and yeah, she went to go visit her family in Cali, kind of commemorating one of her older brothers who died in some street thing, I think, and yeah, and they showed her family. And I'm not, once again, I'm not chastising her mother for marrying an Asian dude. What I'm saying is these people been marrying black women, been having sex with and marrying white dudes, like at least marrying white dudes since it's been legal, and been having sex with white dudes. I mean, since the plantation. But if you want to talk about not under duress since Jim Crow. Thank you, Indigo Flow, for the super chat. And Indigo Flow says, but that's why we exist, Z, to absorb all the blame. Exactly. Exactly. Right? And so, yeah, so I'm definitely with Bernard on that. Yeah, we're not, yeah, I agree. We do that. And FD, you are an example of that. Pretty much letting the women go. Right, which is what we do in this society. Y'all could say it's a holdover of, well, that's kind of part of the patriarchy. All right, cool. But for people that supposedly are trying to fight against the patriarchy, this is the one place y'all actually agree with the patriarchy in infantilizing women. Right? And continuing. Now, this is where I agree with FD. The overall structure of white patriarchy, white elitist patriarchy being the problem. Yes and no. The women, and he had to actually concede the fact that the black women are using these tools against black men, especially in the family court system. Great job, Brother Bernard. Because FD had already conceded that on his video. Speaking about the black family and black men and black women both being wrong about it. He conceded that point already, but Bernard made sure to get him to actually do it again on that conversation. So actually, that was a great job, Brother Bernard. Yeah, black women using white supremacist tools against black men. Now, 5 or so years ago, we couldn't get y'all to actually even admit it. We couldn't even get black women and the black men like FD to actually even admit that black women do that. So maybe we're making some progress in this conversation, because 5 and some years ago, y'all wouldn't even admit that. Right? And the next point I have is talk to the scholars. I already went over that. Yes, brother FD, you need to speak to the BGSs, the Dr. Green Gorillas. I mean, if you're going to engage with this and your goal is to kind of put your ideas out there and kind of maybe get some of us to kind of understand where you're coming from, and, you know, this aspiring to a black form of patriarchy is, you know, a fool's errand. Okay, cool. But you're going to have to speak to the scholars. Number one. Number two, Bernard did a masterful job of saying this to FD. And I agree with FD on to a certain extent on a certain point. But I got to speak about what the brother Bernard said first. Shout out to the brother Bernard for pretty much saying, telling black men, no, you're going to be perpetual boys. You don't get to be patriarchal. You're boys. Brother FD, ain't that what the swirlers, divestors, and pretty much all the black women, even the ones that are not card-carrying swirlers and divestors, isn't that what they say to black men when they chastise us? What have you built? What are they saying? You boys? So you're telling black men to be okay with their boy position? In this white patriarchal society? Be okay with that. Or form other non-binary relationship models. Intersectionality, y'all. No, bro, no. And like I keep on saying this, even if we snap, crackle, pop, and changed all the black men, every single black man thought like F.D Signifier, who also admits tacitly that he's living the patriarchal life. He makes money, his wife makes money, his wife works in corporate America. He's in a nuclear heterosexual family, so he could talk all that non-binary talk he want. Brother got a gun, he had to wave it at some people a couple times. Brother, you're living the life you telling us that we shouldn't necessarily aspire to. You are, whatever virtue signaling you doing, you are in a heterosexual relationship, marriage, sorry, not relationship, you're married. 2 children, you are in as much as I disagree with you politically, socially, not so much politically, but definitely socially, you are a involved father of 2 sons and you are a husband. And that's all black men are asking for. And yet, and I said this in a previous video, I'd be damned if y'all tell working class and poor and lower middle class black men, we got to be the ones to end up with the trans. We got to be the ones to end up with the rude, angry, mean black women. We got to be the ones to have to interact with the women that say, oh, black men ain't ish. We got to be the ones to be in these non-binary intersectional relationships. I'll be damned if poor, working class, and lower middle class black men gotta experiment with these different relationship models while y'all upper middle class and rich black dudes get to have the patriarchal dream world while and virtue signal to the rest of us, oh, don't aspire for this. F you forever on that one, FD. Hell no. F you forever on that one. No. Us 6-figure men, us famous men, we'll live this life while we tell you don't aspire for this. Yeah, nope. No. So we got to be the guinea pig test dummies. Black men, particularly working class and poor. You, FD, brother, do you hear what you saying to us? FD, do you hear what you're saying to us? And what a lot of these Julesy and Kim from Fort Harriet, because Kim said it. Kim from Fort Harriet said it too. And Khadijah, y'all hear what y'all, and shout out to Nappy Headed Ahoba. Nappy Headed Ahoba, y'all hear what y'all telling us? Black men, working class, poor, lower middle class black men. Oh yeah, you don't get to have that. That's for white men and for black men of means. You got to go deal with the women who think they're better than you. Shout out to Kim from Fort Harriet. The women that got to hold their nose to be with you as a blue-collar black man. The women that are going to be condescending to you and then play victim when y'all in the presence of white people. Particularly white people with power and influence. You gotta deal with that. You gotta deal with the sister who's gender fluid or sexually fluid, the pansexual, you got to deal with that. The bisexual sister, you got to deal with that. That's for you. And yes, we know there's trans rich white men like the Wachowskis. We know, yes, we know. Yeah, we know. But overall, that's what y'all telling us. Poor, working class, lower middle class black man. You get to be the guinea pig experiment. You get to deal with all of the bitter, angry, college-educated sister, the hood sisters that don't want to be with y'all anyway. Y'all get to deal with all of that. The bisexual flip-flop sisters, that's for you. The rest of us, upper middle class and rich black men, famous black men, we can deal with that when we want to, if we choose to. But we don't have to deal with that. But we're still, like FD, will virtue signal to the rest of you. And we'll tisk you men while propping up the women and saying, yeah, you continue doing what you're doing. Those men are bad and they're mean and they don't get it. They don't want to keep up with the times. Meanwhile, y'all in the utopia of the nuclear family, which are intact families. Once again, rest in peace, Kevin. Me and Kevin told y'all, they trying to turn these nuclear families into an elite institution. Marriage nuclear heterosexual families will be an elite institution, and some elites will just be not virtue signaling, but like status signaling with those type of relationships. That's true. That's true. But at least they even get to do that. The rest of us are going to be out here just freestyling. And then eventually when the technology come up, men will be with sex robots and the little jack off machine and all of that other stuff. So that's what we saying. Poor and working class men don't deserve nuclear families. Heterosexual nuclear families, what is it, 2.3, 2.5 kids, however they word it, with a wife and a house, right? The white picket fence. Think about that. Mr. Z openly admits, I chastise the women sometimes for their concepts of and over romanticizing upper middle class and rich lifestyles, and what they think of the upper middle class life, which really is some 500,000-600,000 million plus lifestyle. But what you're telling black men is we can't even have the basic house. Right? And FD's not necessarily saying that. That's the white capitalist saying that. But basic home, now this is where FD come in, with the nuclear family and the wife and the 2 kids. We can't have that as black men. And we should be okay with that. Everyday working class, $50,000 a year, $40,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $70,000 a year black men. Don't expect that. That's what these intersectional, feminist-minded black men and black women are telling everyday black men, working class, everyday black men. Don't expect this lifestyle, and definitely don't expect not to get divorced. Even if you get it, you'll only, shout out to the lead attorney, you'll only have it for 10 years at max if you're lucky. Think about that. Watching somebody drink a nice cold glass of lemonade in the hot ass sun, and they tell you, no, you don't want this. You don't deserve this. Yeah. Not even you don't deserve this. You don't want this. Right? Why do you want this for? Why are you aspiring for the nice cold glass of lemonade with ice? We're not even attempting that. We're not divestors. We're not attempting to be delusional, and we're not asking for supermodels that bow and kiss our feet and work 9 to 5s, actually work more than us to provide us with a lifestyle in the house. We are not the divestors. We're asking for base 2 children, a home, and to live our regular ass lives. And y'all telling us we can't even have that? Oh no, bro. And while you FD live that life? Oh, no. F that. Nope. F that. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. No, F that. No, brother FD. Nope. I can't do it. I can't get. And even if Mr. Z gets married and has the 2 kids, I still can't go along with FD and telling the rest of y'all brothers, no, don't aspire for this. Meanwhile, you hear my kids playing around in the background. Just like FD, my kids coming in, my kids playing around in the background. Y'all hear my wife come in. Yeah, babe, what happened? Okay, I'm on live right now. And I'm going to tell y'all not to aspire for that? Oh, FD, you in here. I knew it. I put the bat signal out. What's going on, brother? Brother, of course FD would be here when Mr. Z doesn't have the StreamYards up. Of course. This is my life. Such is life. Of course. And he said, go and drop the link. Of course. Brother FD, Mr. Z was being a cheap ass. So when StreamYard said, hey, you want to buy it now? I'm like, wait until next paycheck. And so I'm not using StreamYards. I'm using YouTube, and I can't drop the link. Of course. And you're here. Of course. Such is life. Of course this would happen. Well, I guess we could have the conversation. I don't know how fast you type. Of course. But my my argument to you, and I'm not going to try to loud talk you because I have the microphone, even though literally I'm the one talking and I'm loud. So I'll lower the tone just so we can have the conversation. I don't know how fast you type, and I'll actually give you a chance to respond and everything. What I'm saying is I have a major issue with us telling everyday working class black men that you get to be the guinea pig for intersectional feminism. You don't necessarily need to be aspiring, and this is why I agree with Bernard Raleigh, and I'll shut up in a minute to give you a chance to respond. You don't necessarily have to be you shouldn't necessarily be aspiring for the wife and 2 kids in a particular relationship model, marriage, because it's some type of form of patriarchy. If I'm lost, maybe I'm lost in the way you're saying it. Oh, let me see if FD is okay with that. FD Signifier, brother. The Roger report says, do you want me to start a stream and drop a link for both of you? If you're okay with that, FD, we could do that. And it'll just be me and you. I know Raj. He'll be a good security at the gate. He won't let nobody in. If you're okay with that, I'll let you respond. Oh, he said sure. Raj, hey, so everybody, we headed to Raj's channel. I guess what y'all want to do? Reconvene in what? 10ish minutes, 15 minutes? FD, it's up to you, brother. He said sure. I'm doing a Manosphere tour this month. Clearly. Oh, Mr. Z be messing up. I am so messing up. You know what? Let me go run upstairs, go get the laptop. I might just put the Raj. I'll do it. I'll do it, Raj. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Let's give me let's do 15 minutes FD and Raj, and we what he said, I'll be sitting at the PC for at least another hour. Okay, so let me go do that. Let me go do that. So I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna go talk to Raj while I'm figuring out what I'm gonna do. And thank y'all for listening in. Mr. Z will try to convene in the next 15 or so minutes, and we're gonna speak to F.D Signifier. So let's jump off and shout out to Raj. Raj be coming through. You see that? And FD, so like give me another 15 minutes and I'll start up a stream and then we could talk. All right, y'all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. And I'll pause right there. All right. We'll be back in about 15 minutes, everyone.